So, Namaskar everyone, and welcome to PYP Guest Lecture Series, in which we invite people who are expert in certain domains, which are very useful for the country and for the world, so that we can learn from their expertise, their perspectives, and see if we can join the movement also to create a golden age ecosystem for the country and for the world. So today's topic is fiscal policy for full employment and nation building. And we have with us our very dear Kumar Singh ji, who is a professor in Department of Mechanical Engineering, Delhi Technological University, DTU, Delhi. He has 34 years of experience in teaching and research. He has published around 50 papers in international journals and conferences. And he has also supervised several M.Tech and Ph.D. theses and helped several research scholars. His current interests include digitalization in academics, full employment, governance, fiscal policy, macroeconomy, and nation building. He is also interested in developing and promoting an understanding of currency-based economies and the role of fiscal policy in nation building, and he will share a lot of insights related to that in today's session. He has already delivered lectures on sustainable development, energy security, full employment, nation building, and fiscal policy at GB Pant University, Pantnagar, NIT Patna, and the School of MBA, Delhi Technological University. He has also delivered lectures on technology, finance, full employment, and nation building in Department of Mechanical Engineering, DTU, Delhi. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us give a warm welcome to Professor Kumar Singh ji. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you, Hiten ji, for giving such a wonderful introduction. My name is Kumar Singh. I welcome all the participants in this lecture, where we will try to understand the main concept that where does money come from and how it is connected to our economy. So, though I am professor of mechanical engineering department, but I had one question in my mind that where does money come from? Because of that, I started discussing with the economist that where does money come from? Because I had some understanding that how it is connected to economy and ultimately employment and leading to our nation building. So with this question, I started searching internet, etc. And I came to know about some economists in USA, Stephanie Kelton and others, and some in Australia and one in UK. From where I have learned these all things, which I am sharing with you. So in this lecture, we will try to understand the relationship between sovereign nation. Sovereign nation means here, like India is a sovereign nation, USA is a sovereign nation, and which have their own currency. Like India has rupee, USA has dollar, UK has pound, China has another currency. And taxes, what is the role of taxes? Then this is a currency. In different country, we have different currency. Then full employment, because we know that for doing any job, means whether it is a service or goods, these are produced with the help of some work. So every country must have full employment, because in that condition, it will be giving or it will be producing the maximum output for that kind of condition. And it happens when we have some economic activities. And ultimately, what is the aim of doing this thing? Is nation building. So this is the main concept. Then second is, where does money come from? At least we will understand this point. Then how does it affect the employment, social justice, economic activity, and nation building? Then we shall also try to understand, because I am of the opinion that many people, they mix the economy and finance system. They think that it is same. Fiscal thing and economy thing, both are thing. So what is difference between financial system and economy? Real economy, basically. and how they are connected. Financial system and economy connected, and with the help of this financial system, how nation within that country, or if it is in position to influence other country, or if it is suppose ruled by other country like India was ruled by Britishers, then how these nations which are ruled by other countries or which are influenced by other countries doing the weakening of nation, or if they are not ruled by that country, then how do they build the nation? These are the three main concepts we shall try to understand. Then we shall be able to answer these questions also if we understand this concept, that whether government is financed by us, is it true or wrong, and what is the meaning of national debt in that currency. Like suppose India, if it is having debt in rupees, and if USA has debt in dollar, and UK has debt in pound, then what is the meaning? Whether it is the debt which is a problem or it is not a problem. Then if this is true, that currency comes from central government of that country, then what is the role of taxes? Then why do they tax? So with the help of this understanding, we will be able to answer these questions. So we have to understand this point through historical perspective, though I will not cover history, but I will just try to bring these two photographs where we have a civilization in which people or group of people are working and they are living as a hunter society. So there is no role of money here. Currency does not play any role. If suppose we go in modern day also, we have some people living in such type of condition, like in India, Andaman, there is a small community called Jarava or Sentinel, or in some Amazon, some people live like this. So if we go there with some kind of currency, any kind of currency, whether it is dollar, rupee, or gold, they won't appreciate it. It has no role in that society. Now, if we think in a modern society where this is slightly back technology and these are advanced technology, production is done through advanced technology. So when the societies are having technology based production, the productivity is very high, means very few people are required to produce large number of goods and services. So just try to understand this point through these two pictures. And in this picture, again, this is related to farming. So if we have a farming through technology, then very few people can produce very large quantity of grains and foods. Like in USA, let's say, 1% of population can produce goods, food for full country. So when we have such kind of production system, then we can move people from one sector to another sector. Now it is done through some process. This is just a picture to show that how modern machineries are enhancing our production capabilities. So this is a figure where we have one city, and these are the different currencies. So if this is a city of India, let's say, then rupee is important here. If this is a city in Newark, let's say Newark, then dollar is important, like this. And if we are living in a city, we can understand the role of currency. If we don't have money, means currency of that country, it is a problem for us. So now just only last 90 years experience about the evolution of currency. But I'm taking one example of US. So in USA, earlier they had the silver-based currency, then they had some gold-based currency also, 1850 onwards. Then 1900 onwards, they had only pure gold standard. Then one important juncture came at 1933. In 1933, particularly in 1929, USA was passing through Great Depression. Great Depression means they had the capability to produce the goods, but they had no wires. Because of that, there was slum. So a lot of unemployment was there. So during this period, 1933, Roosevelt became the president, and he wanted to remove unemployment and overcome that economic crisis in USA. So how to give employment in a currency-based economy? In a currency-based economy, we have to give money or currency to the people, those who come for the job. So government needs money. So where does that money come from? At that time, the rule was that $1, 1 ounce gold will be produced $22. $22. They had this rule that if they want to create $22, they will put 1 ounce gold in their federal bank. Now Roosevelt changed this rule. Roosevelt said that no, now $34 will be created against 1 ounce gold. So just see the importance of this, that what is the role of state? State had rule that 1 ounce gold will produce $22. Now they changed the rule that instead of $20 against 1 ounce, we will produce or we will create $34. So now central government of USA, federal government, had a lot of money, dollar. So they gave job to the people, unemployed people, which created some output, and it gave them purchasing power also. So when the people are having purchasing power, they were able to purchase goods which has the, basically that economy has capacity to produce goods and services. So the industry also started producing more and more things, and in that way unemployment rate fall from, let's say, 30%. It was 33%. In some book it is 30%. In some book it is 33%. It fell from 30% to 10% within 1 or 1.5 years. So this is an important point, which I am trying to say, that how this state play a very important role in creating the currency. Then another important point, 1971. This was the Roosevelt era, 1933. He was the president of the USA. In 1971, Richard Nixon was the president of that country. So basically, Roosevelt did two things. One thing is that now USA will print $34 against 1 ounce of gold, and USA people, that's why it is called quasi gold standard after 33 onwards. Quasi gold standard means what? Like USA people had no right to exchange the dollar for gold. But outside the country, people, if they say that, okay, you keep this dollar, give us the gold, they will give us gold. So this was the system developed by the Roosevelt. So we had basically both systems. Like if people from other country, they give dollar to USA, USA was to give them gold. But if a US people are giving dollar to their federal bank, then federal bank will not give them gold. This was the rule. In 1971, Nixon was the president of USA. When the French people, French government basically sent dollar to USA and asked that, okay, you change that dollar into gold, Nixon refused. Nixon told that, no, it is a fiat currency, means we will not give you gold in lieu of dollar. So from that onwards, now this currency, like USA currency, is called fiat currency, and all currencies are now fiat currency, means we don't have gold against them. We may have gold, but it is not promised that we will give them gold. So it is just a currency which is used for exchanging goods and services in that country or in that currency. So these are the two important points. So now 71 onwards, we have the fiat currency. So worldwide also, but I am not talking about one more point, which was Bretton Woods Agreement. But these are the two important points I want to say here. Now, we will try to understand with the help of this figure, what is the role of government and currency and taxes with the help of practical example. in many economics book, in fact, if we talk to economists, they don't tell this thing, they tell something else. But this is also true. I mean, they don't tell what is the role of state. They think that money is created by the people and the state takes money from us and runs the government. UK company captured around 1850, like India also in 1700, the East India Company came to India and they started ruling over us. But India was having some kind of monetary system. But in 1850, one company went to Africa where they captured one portion of Africa. That African society was living in a primitive life and they had no monetary system. They had no monetary system. They had no fiscal system, means no monetary system. I am writing. This is very important point. They had no monetary system. They used to make a hut like this and they used to some kind of farming nearby to their hut or some kind of hunting, and they were not living in any monetary system, means they were not exchanging goods through some monetary system. If they were exchanging based on some kind of barter system or mutual agreement. Now the company aim, which captured them, was to grow coffee. This was their aim, to grow coffee so that they can sell in European market to earn the profit. That was the aim of the company, which captured this portion of Africa. Now to grow the coffee in the fields, one needs labor basically. So how do they get labor? So to do the work from the people against their wishes, they didn't want to do work according to the company or according to state, we can say, because they had captured. State is basically powerful unit. If it is democratic, it is called democratic country. If it is non-democratic, it is non-democratic country. But it must possess power. This is the meaning of state. So state, that company basically, captured these people and wanted to get work done from them. So how to do? There are only two methods. One is make them slave and force them directly through direct violence to get work done from the people. So, but monetary system was used. This system was not used. What was monetary system? This is very important. Try to understand. Try to focus. They asked these people, this UK company, that you are taxed. Let's say this, they call it hut tax. They call it hut tax. If you pay this much ceiling, some unit of account, like in India, we have rupee as a unit of account. In UK, they have dollar or other kind of things. In the US, they have dollar, or UK, they have pound basically. So they had some kind of unit of accounts. They called it ceiling. Ceiling was basically one unit in UK. That if you pay, let's say 12 ceiling per month, I will keep your hut. Otherwise, if you don't pay 12 ceiling per month, I will burn your hut. Your hut will be burned. Because they had a force to burn the hut. They can burn their hut against the basis of the people. So basically, they force people to work according to them. So this was the taxation, 12 ceiling per hut per month, let's say. I don't know exact amount, but this is the way. And how do they get ceiling? They have to work in their fields and they will pay you in terms of ceiling. So in this manner, people can earn the ceiling and pay the taxes to save their hut. So what was the role of taxes? Which we can understand now, but it has evolved over the time. Role of tax was not to finance the government or finance the state. Role of taxation was to force the people to work according to state. So with the help of this example, we can understand that what is the role of state, means power, We can call it now federal government. It has evolved. I will tell you later on that how it has evolved. And currency or money and taxes. So taxes are not used for financing the government. Taxes are not used for financing government through currency. Taxes are used or we are introduced to get the work done from the people against their wishes as per the state object. But it has evolved over the time, and later on what will happen? This whole society, whole African society, where they are ruling and they have some state of that unit of accounts, let's say ceiling. Now everybody will be looking for the ceiling to safeguard their hut. Means because now ceiling or that currency has been introduced in their life, which was absent earlier. So to safeguard their life, they have to earn this currency through direct selling of their labor or indirect selling of some goods or services to the state or among the people itself. So over the time, monetary system will evolve. So non-monetary system will be converted into monetary system over the time. Like as nowadays, everybody is working for currency. If somebody is producing something, they are selling in a market in that currency. Like in India, if we are producing the farm products, grain or milk or meat, etc., then it is sold in market and we get that currency. Like in India, we will get rupee, in dollar. In USA, we get dollar, etc., etc. So is this point clear? What is the role of state, money, and taxes? Now I am coming to another important point. So here we have figure number 1, and here we have figure number 2. Most of the people, in fact, I can say almost all the people, including economists, to whom I have interacted, though I have learned it from economists only, but they believe PS means private sector, means like in India, other than parliament, everything is private sector, including the state governments or corporation, MCD, etc., or people. Federal government, like in India, we can say parliament. In USA, we can say another federal government. In UK, we have another federal government. So other than federal government, rest of the economy is private sector. Any individual or any corporation or any state machinery of the other portion, other than the federal government. So what we believe that private sector means people or corporation or business, they pay taxes. I'm not talking about the state government or municipal corporation. They also take tax, but I'm right now talking about the federal government, relationship between federal government and taxes. They take taxes from us. And if they want to spend more money, they borrow from us, which leads to basically national debt. This borrowing leads to national debt in that particular currency. And after getting this money or currency, which is through taxes or borrowing, they spend on the economy, through which some economic activity is done, which is influenced by federal government. Then other economic activity also happening because of some private sector spending or individual spending. But right now I am talking about federal government and private sector. So almost all people believe this is correct, that government runs from the taxes. They take taxes from the people. And if they want to spend extra money, they borrow from the people. लोगों से उधार लेते हैं, लोगों से टैक्स लेते हैं और वो पैसा पर वो खर्च करते हैं इकोनॉमी में, रोड बनाने में या एजुकेशन में, हेल्थ केयर, और उन्हें लगता है कि यही ठीक है, जबकि ये गलत है। इसे मैंने प्रूव किया हुआ है और इसे अपन समझ सकते हैं। अब सही क्या है? व्हाट इज करेक्ट? दिस इज करेक्ट. Because of what reason this is not correct, I can tell here itself that this thing does not explain that where does money come from, whether it came one time and that is being used or recirculated, or it is continuously being created and continuously being destroyed, which we will understand through this example. This does not explain, this figure does not explain that point, that where does money come from. or it came just in 19, like in India, 1947 it came. Then we are just doing some kind of foreign trade. It is coming in that way, or there is no other way to go. So, but anyway, we will try to understand through some kind of data also. So this is the correct picturization, that what is the relations between federal government and private sector in terms of finance. So federal government being a sole proprietary or monopoly of that currency, like if it is India, then it is rupees. If it is a USA, then dollar. They have only power to create that currency. So whenever they spend, it is sovereign spend. They spend that power of creating the currency. And through taxation, they destroy the purchasing power. Basically, taxes are used for destroying the purchasing power of the people, not to finance the government. Then what is the borrowing? What is national debt? I will tell you later on. But this is the correct. This is the correct, which is very important to understand. Because if we think that this one is correct, then it has another implication. If we think that two is correct, it has another implication on the economic activity. Now I am taking with some examples. Let's say in one case I am taking here, I am talking about, let's say 100 unit is spent by the government, federal government, and 90 unit is destroyed through taxes in that particular fiscal year. If this is a situation, then what will happen? And second situation, if they are spending 100 rupees and taking 100 rupees as a taxes, then what is the situation? And in third situation, I am talking about, they are spending 100 rupees in that financial year and taking, let's say, 120 rupees as taxes. Then what will happen? So three situations: spending 100 rupees, taking 90 rupees as taxes. Second situation, spending 100 rupees, taking 100 rupees as taxes. In third situation, spending 100 rupees and taking 120 rupees as taxes. So what will happen under these three conditions? This is the figure of India. What is this figure? On x-axis we have time, on y-axis we have currency in rupees. This is representing that how does currency vary over the time, or in fact it is increasing over the time. Now if it is figure 1, then it does not explain that how it is increasing. Similarly, this is again for Reserve Bank of India, India data. This is representing one figure that it is again increasing. This is M2 and another case is M3, because we measure this growth of money through this M2, M3, etc. And M3 basically we have credit also. This is of the USA, M3. This is increasing over the time. Net it is increasing. This is time 1965 to 220. And this is dollar quantity. This is the UK data. This is slightly old, maybe 2012, I think. I took from one book. This is telling what? Here we have, this one is representing, this line is representing GDP of UK, and this line is representing M4. This M4 is basically currency created by the government plus credit created by the bank. So basically what I am trying to say here, that up to this point, when digitalization was less, the GDP growth index and currency growth were more or less similar in this quarter. Now they started deviating. Currency growth is very high and GDP growth is not that much high. And what is the reason, possible reason? So we shall discuss later on, but right now I am trying to discuss that how this currency is growing over the time and how it is connected to GDP and how these two are not connected with each other. Now that same one figure I told you, that if government is spending 100 unit and taking taxes 90 or destroying money through taxation 90, So this is the equation. Budget balance is equal to government revenue through taxation. Basically, this is tax mainly, and government expenditure. Now here I want to tell you one more thing. I met several economists. What they believe, because whatever I am telling, it sometimes contradict our belief system, because we are in a microscopic economy and macro economy. We are in a currency, we are as a currency user. We cannot create currency. So we always think that we need currency for expenditure. But at macro level, it is not true. So even at government people, our government people also, and even the economists who deal with macroeconomics, they think that government takes taxes, then borrow money, then spend. This is sequence. Tax first, then borrow second, then third expenditure. But federal government works in that way, because of micro condition, we always believe that we need money to spend. That's why we think that first is taxation. So money comes, government takes money from taxes and borrow from the people and then spend. So it fits in our mindset, our belief system. But what is correct in case of federal government? Because that deals with macro, because that is a basically currency creator. This is first. Government expenditure is first. That's why I told you that suppose government spends 100 units in that currency. If it is India, then it is spending, let's say, 100 rupees. And through taxes, it destroys 90 rupees. If it is India. If it is another government, then it is $100, $90. Then budget balance is minus 10. 100 rupees is spent, 90 rupees is destroyed as a taxes. So government deficit is 10 rupees and people's surplus is 10 rupees. Budget balance is minus 10. Budget balance is minus 10 and people balance is 10 in that particular year. Okay, so here I am telling you that budget balance is equal to revenue minus expenditure. If BB, budget balance, is greater than 0, then surplus. Means if government is 100 rupees as taxes and 120 rupees as 100 rupees is expenditure and 120 rupees as taxes. This is taxes and this is expenditure. Then it is called surplus budget. Many people believe that surplus is good because they think that from micro's perspective, if I have money, then it is better. There is no surplus in the government because government only creates money. I'm talking about federal government. If 100 rupees is 100 is expenditure and 100 is taxation, then it is balanced budget. This is called balanced budget. If 100 rupees is expenditure and 90 rupees as taxation, this is called deficit budget. Now I have drawn 3 figures for deficit, for surplus, for balanced budget. This is for deficit. What I am telling here, on x-axis we have year. Means right now, let's say we have 2024. It could be some value, let's say 1950. And here on this axis we have currency or money. Here we have minus, here we have plus. Now today, if we add, let's say I'm talking about India. If we add all financial asset means only financial, not house, not clothes, not food. They may be also converted into rupee, but not. I'm talking about only financial asset. Financial asset means whatever cash they have, if they have some cash in their home or pocket, if they are putting their money in bank account, maybe in saving or in deposit, fixed FD, etc. This, only this. If we add all India people money, it will be some quantity. And this will be representing, this line, this dot will be representing cumulative deficit of India. And it is related to any country. So that's why I have not given this as rupee or dollar or pound or yuan, etc. This is valid for all currency creator country. So, but I am giving example of India. So what is this point representing? This point is representing all money with the people, whether it is in cash form or bank form. This point is representing this quantity. And if we add from 1947 onwards, this deficit or surplus money or deficit money of the government, suppose let's say government is spending 100 rupees and taking tax, then it will be minus 10, here it will be plus 10, here it will be plus 10, here it will be minus 10. So if we add cumulative minus 10 1 year, let's say next year it is minus 20, next year it is minus 30. So if we add over the years, then this will be the debt. This will be deficit, cumulative deficit. It is called debt. What is that? I will tell later on. And if we add these 2 points, this will be 0. Summation of these two means here if we put mirror, it will be same. What is justification of this? What is logic? I will tell you the data also through data. What is the logic? If we have some cash or some money in the bank, where it can come from? If it is rupees, it can only come from RBI through instruction of the government of India. I am talking about hard money right now. I am not talking about credit. If we add credit, it will go like this also. Because this currency, through logic, can come only and only from Indian government. If it is rupee, if it is a dollar, it can come only and only from US government. If it is a yuan, it can only can come from China government. So that's why whatever currency we have, Indian currency, I'm talking about rupee, then it has come from that. So it means that it is their cumulative deficit. It is their cumulative deficit, and that's why we have that. Then second point, if government spend 100 rupees and takes tax 100 rupees, then this line will go horizontally. This line will go horizontally. Means no debt or no deficit will be enhanced further. It will remain horizontal. Now this point onwards, if government, federal government of any country, if I talk about India, taking 120 rupees as taxes and spending is 100 rupees. 100 rupees is spending and 120 rupees taxes, then what will happen? This currency with the people will reduce and cumulative deficit will also reduce, and time may come, then it may reduce to 0. Right. So with the help of these 3 figures, which are valid for any currency, now we will understand through hard data. This is the data from US. And basically, I am trying to explain what is deficit, what is national debt, what is fiscal policy through USA data. Debt I have not talked about. I am talking about the cumulative deficit, but anyway, I will cover it later. And in this graph, on this axis, we have year 1960, 65, 5-year graph, 70, 75, etc. And it was up to, let's say, 2017. Right now, I don't have latest figure, but anyway, we can add that later. And this is not cumulative, this is per year. So if in any year, let's say in 1975, this is representing government deficit in percentage of GDP of that year. If government deficit is more, then money with the people will go. If government deficit is less, then money with the people is also increased less in that year. If government deficit becomes surplus, because in these years, basically in 69, 1 year it was in surplus, and during Clinton period, here Clinton was the president of USA, this was surplus for 2 years, I think. 2 years it was in surplus. When government is in surplus, then people's money will go minus in that financial year. And if it is more deficit, like during Barack Obama, financial crisis came, so government deficit was very high, means it was very high, means from 60 to 2010. In 2009, it was highest in that particular year. So government, people's money was also increased highest in that particular. Now, this figure is still not mirror image. It is not representing mirror image. So what is the reason? Because USA dollar is used by other countries also. Now, this is exactly representing mirror image. This is same figure for per year. Here it is year-wise time, and here it is money, percentage of GDP. Quarterly figure is there. So here we have domestic private sector balance shown with the help of blue line, means whatever money with the people in that particular year. And this red one is representing government balance because it is minus. So that's why, because most of the time, almost all the time, governments run in deficit. That's why it is in minus sign. Only in during Bill Clinton it was plus. On somewhere here it was plus. Only 1-2 years. Now one more figure is there, green line. This is representing capital account. Capital account means if government is or whole USA is selling product to the world of $100 and buying goods of $120 in that financial year, then it is basically minus 20. This minus 20 will go to abroad. So that's why it is added here. This green one is representing this one. That government of USA or whole USA basically they import more than export. That's why it is representing this green line. So if we add that government USA deficit, capital account deficit is shown upward, means this side. And if we put mirror here, then it will be perfect mirror image. So what is the equation? Money with the people, money with the government. Government means if it is minus, deficit means minus, and surplus means plus. So government deficit means minus. And foreign. Foreign I have added here, whatever money has gone abroad. If we add them with sign, then private plus government plus foreign will always be zero. It is through simple accounting process. Now, this is another figure where we have data up to 2018. This is slightly bigger one, but it is representing same thing. Now, this is the debt. I am now coming to debt. Basically, when the fiscal deficit is there, money comes with the people. लोगों के पास पैसा आता है. Money comes with the people when government is in deficit. So currency rupees has come to the people. रुपए आ गए लोगों के पास. Now through monetary policy, which is the policy of the central bank of that country, to maintain interest rate. इसे interest rate maintain करना होता है. उसके लिए, because this currency when it comes with the people, either it will do some kind of transaction. जैसे मुझे सैलरी मिली 100 रुपए, तो मैंने गेहूं खरीदा, चावल खरीदा, सब्जी खरीदी, कुछ इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी का ट्रांजैक्शन होने लगा उससे. लेकिन अगर मेरे पास 100 रुपए उस महीने खर्च हुए, if I spend 100 rupees in that month and I earn 100 rupees, then no saving. Suppose I am earning 120 rupees in month and my expenditure is 100 rupees. Then most probably this 20 rupees will go in bank. So now there is an option. RBI, like in our country, RBI, in USA, they are federal bank. They give option that, okay, you can convert this 20 rupees into bond, sovereign bond. So they issue bond, let's say 6% here in the year, let's say 6.2%. It is again totally monopoly of the central bank of that country. They can fix 0, they can fix minus, they can fix plus, they can fix 10%, they can fix minus 2%, they can fix 3%. This is the monopoly. Currency creation is the monopoly of that federal government, and interest rate is the monopoly of that federal bank basically of that country. Like in India, we have Reserve Bank of India. So they issue bond. So if I am keeping money bank and getting no interest, then it is better to get interest at 6%, and it is fully safe because no government can default in their currency. Like Indian government cannot default in rupees. It can default in dollar. It can default in yuan. It can default in another currency, but it cannot default in rupees. Similarly, US government cannot default in dollar. US government can default in other currency, but cannot default in dollar. But it has another advantage because of some military advantage and other things. And so this debt is continuously increasing. And now it is around $35 trillion. $35 trillion is the debt in US. But it is not a problem. Many people say that it is going to broke, going to broke, going to broke. It is wrong. These all things are wrong. Now, this second figure is representing debt to GDP ratio. So during 43, etc., again it was 120. Now it has again gone to 120. In between, it is dropped. So just I am telling that many people use that whenever it has gone above 100%, this country is going to broke. Like in Japan, it is basically 250%. This line is 250%. So people say that it is going to broke, going to broke. It is not. It may be due to some other reason, but not because of this reason. Because they think in micro perspective that if our debt level is high, means we are not a currency creator, we are currency user. Our debt level is very high, then we may broke, we may default. Our life will be in problem. But government life is not problematic because of money. It may be problematic because of some other reason, not because of currency in that country. Now I have only few more slides to discuss. This is again with the help of data, because many countries are pressurized developing countries, especially IMF, World Bank, that don't go more than 3% of deficit. Deficit is wrong, etc. So this is the data of USA, where I have mentioned for last 80 years or 70 years, what is the deficit they made. Like in Roosevelt, 1943. So it is highest to lowest, not year-wise. It is not year-wise. It is what is the highest. 29.6% of GDP in 1943. Then 44, 45. Then let's say 21. And Trump, it was minus 16.7% fiscal deficit in percentage of GDP term. Like in our country, IMF, World Bank, they say that you keep it less than 3%, otherwise you will be downgraded, etc. But what I'm trying to say here, that we can have any deficit. It is not a problem. But what is the use of that deficit? That matters. The second point is, again, same thing. It is in different format. Here I have written surplus or deficit as percentage of receipt. Like many people believe that we fund the government. That's why I have written like this. In 1919, receipt of USA government was $5130 million, and they spent 18,493. This difference was 260%. So in this manner, I have mentioned, just for sake of explanation. Now, I have written this statement because when I came to know, I discussed with several economists that what is the perception of currency. They had different perception of currency. So I was searching and I got this quotation. Saint Louis was the king of France. He became king at the age of 12, basically. So maybe, and he lived from 1214 to 1270. This is his statement. Because when the state or king, they made currency as factor in our life because of their power, because they can put us in jail, they can burn our hut, etc. Whatever rule they create. So once they have created a factor which affects our life, then how to use that factor for the nation or for the economic activity. So what he has written, first duty of the king is to coin money, because at that time money was coined. Coin money when it is necessary for the sound economic life of his subjects. Subjects, you can say praja, जनता, या उस समय राजा बेसिकली किंग थे, जो उन्हें कहा जाता था कि वो गॉड के कुछ हैं, और बाकी लोगों को कहा जाता था ये नॉर्मल जनता है. So in that subject. So what is the term being used? Coin the money for sound economic life of the people. So we have to connect economic life and coin money and flow of the money. If it is possible that we can print more money or we can create more money for better economic activity, we should do it. If we want that money should be reduced for better economic activity, we should reduce. But this should not be constant. Coin is not a constant, or currency is not a constant. Economic activity is a constant, and economic activity is done by the people. When people work, then only we have goods or services. Whatever we are having in our home, आप जहां बैठे हुए हो, अगर वहां जो भी आपको दिखाई दे रहा है वो किसी के एफर्ट से हुआ है। हाँ, मशीनों द्वारा प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ गई है, पर वो किसी के एफर्ट से हुआ है। अगर लोग एफर्ट्स ना करें तो वो गुड्स और सर्विसेज क्रिएट नहीं हो सकते। सो इफ वी हैव ए पीपल all should work, then we will have maximum goods and services. So unemployment in any society, theoretically, unemployment must be zero. We must try to create policy, whether we have to create more currency or less currency, irrespective of that, because once we know that what is currency, where does it come from, then we should always try to reduce unemployment to zero under any condition if we want to build two nation. Now I am coming to nation building, because in our lecture we want to connect this thing to nation building. So I am taking two historical examples, only two historical examples. Bismarck was the leader in Germany who ruled. He was not the true ruler. He was the basically not king, but very influential person, maybe chancellor. 1860 to 90. What he did, he united 29 kingdoms, because Germany was little poor country in that way during that era in Europe. Out of Europe, Germany was the weakest at that time, because it was having 29 kings and they had their own currency. So, and they were fighting with each other. That's why it was weak. So what was the role of Bismarck? To unite these all 29 kingdoms. Once you have united and made one currency, then with the help of currency, we can coordinate the real resources like agriculture, food production, factory production, real resources, real outcomes with the help of currency. Suppose if we are able to have sufficient food, then remaining people can be used for education, healthcare, R&D, etc., so that country can be developed. So what policy he implemented? You see, first modern welfare state, healthcare to all, unemployment insurance, pension to all people. It was the first country in the world, Germany, which introduced universal pension to all, everybody, whether you are working in government or king or not, everybody was getting pension after certain age. Then public education system, free, because once we want to develop a country means its people capital or human capital must be increased, and education is one factor which enhances the human capital. So education, if it is costly, then people can't afford it, and it is a problem. So it must be made free. So free education, he made free education, primary education, secondary. In many cases, higher education level also became free. So that's why that country became very developed within very few years, and it became very good in R&D also. Because once you are investing very highly education and R&D, then naturally they will produce high R&D. Then another example, but 2 slides are more, 2, 3. Great Depression, USA, 1929. What is the feature of Great Depression? We have machines to produce goods and services. So we require less people, because once production is done through machines, these machines have capability to produce the goods and services, but less people are needed. If people are not working, their salary is, in total salary component is reduced. If salary is reduced, means purchasing power is reduced. So it means that they can't purchase these goods. So if people are not having job, they will not have money to purchase the goods which are produced through machines, or which can be produced through these machines and systems and factories. But these cannot be purchased at a rate which is profitable to these industries or these agriculture people. Then they will reduce production. So this is the problem. This was the problem of Great Depression. And through onwards, this is the main problem if we look at the real economic activity. So if people are unemployed, we have to give them job. And how to give them job means we have to give them currency or money. And how can we give them money? Through state power. State has power to create the currency, so they can give job. When they give job, then it will increase the some output, means some public works can be increased, health can be increased, education can be improved, community living can be improved, cities maybe and towns may be made beautiful, etc., etc. So then they will have job and they will have the purchasing power to purchase these goods and services. So this was the Great Depression, which was handled by New Deal. New Deal was the policy introduced by the Roosevelt, who was the president of US, about whom I talked about earlier. So here, this is the second last slide. I am talking about the imperialism also, because when British came to India, they had the rule. They were ruling over us, and prior to Britisher, we had around 22%, 22.5% of world GDP contribution. And 1947, when they left, our world contribution dropped to 3%. And what I'm trying to say here, that whatever policy is followed by the central government of that country, whether it is ruled by democratic process or foreign rulers, when we were ruled by the Britishers, what policy they were adopting? To keep our country poor, deliberately. And what was their purpose? So one thing is that high taxation and no expenditure on education and healthcare and R&D. This will create a situation, high taxation, no expenditure on education. That's why high taxation is high and you are not spending any money on the education, etc., healthcare and R&D, then our competitiveness will not grow. And condition for labor migration will develop. Because when Britishers came, up to the Mughal period, people used to come from abroad to India because of our good natural condition. We have good sun, we have good agriculture. So people used to come to India and settle here. We never used to go abroad from India. But these Britishers created situation because they wanted agriculture in those countries like Africa or other places, and mining. Both were very heavily labor intensive at that time because mechanization was not high. So for agriculture and mining, they require a lot of people. And India had good population at that time also because of good condition here. So they wanted to create a situation where they can get easy labor. So they migrated a lot of labor because of this situation. They created a situation where they forced people to live in a hungry condition. Their survival became tough. So they had to migrate to other countries according to wishes of their government, and they were employed in agriculture and mining and abroad. Third point is that they suppressed industrialization for reducing the competition and creating a situation so that labor can be migrated. And another situation, they emphasized production of cotton, opium, and indigo, which created a situation that our food production, which we eat, dropped. So that's why that led to poverty, hunger, and malnutrition, which created a situation that people started migrating as per the basis of Britishers. And last, low value added, because we exported cotton, opium, and indigo, and they didn't promote the industrialization in our country and education in our country, so that we were not in position to produce high value added product here. So we used to purchase high value added product from outside, and we used to sell low value added product, agriculture product, to that country. So what is the conclusion now? This is last slide. Conclusion means sovereign nation are resource constrained. If we don't have people, if we don't have the land to produce sufficient food grain, etc., then it is a problem. But not fiscally constrained. Nations are not fiscally constrained, they are resource constrained. So if we have a people, if we can use them for our nation building, whatever fiscal is needed, we must use it. But if we think that we are fiscally constrained, then there is no question of this thing because our constraint is different. So this is not a constraint. Fiscal not a constraint. Resource is a constraint for any nation. For individual, fiscal is a constraint, but for a nation, fiscal is not a constraint, resource is constraint. So with the help of this understanding, we should follow policy. Every nation should follow policy that full employment. Why full employment? Because under this condition, we will have maximum output at a given technological pace. Then if we want to live as a nation, we must have food and energy security. We should always try. In fact, India, we have sufficient food energy. Energy security is also almost certain, but we require petroleum. For that, we need to work upon it. And we must work on R&D and critical technology if we want to live as a nation in the world. So when productivity is going up, then government must play a role for transition the worker from low skill, repeated jobs to high tech, creative field, R&D, technology, etc. And other things, because whenever government spends this money and whenever we live in a society, we have to develop administrative system, and governance and its integrity is very important. So we must focus on its governance. Then we must focus on inflation, not on the price level or debt level or deficit. So in this manner, I have connected the fiscal policy. What is fiscal policy? This fiscal policy is simply expenditure and taxes. This is fiscal policy of nation. Nation building, I covered some points, nation building. And about currency now we must be clear. So here I have stopped. So I welcome all of you for discuss. And these are some references. These are references. And here I stop. Thank you very much. Thank you, Temji.
Right. So on that note, I would like to share my vote of thanks to Professor Rajkumar Singh ji, who has taken his time to share with us a wealth of knowledge that he has gathered over a period of several hours, man hours of project to create this presentation, to create this understanding, and developing a way to disseminate this information to the people. And your knowledge that you have shared today would definitely be very valuable in creating a complete narrative. We are executing this Project YugParivartan through 3 organizations, 1 private limited company, 1 NGO, and 1 political organization. So whichever vehicle is required in whatever field, we will utilize that to create a new solution. So Namaskar, thanks every participant today to spare your time on a Sunday and give us the opportunity to share this knowledge with you. Looking forward to see you all in PYP webinar.